Well, hello. We are live here for our second broadcast ever for the Chicago live stream for fundraising for the 2016 season. And today we have a special guest, David Gonzalez, is here as well. And so we're going to cut to him and interview him tonight just to share more on how he's gotten to his $30,000 in fundraising, or he's just about there, he told me today. And so he's all decked out in his superhero hat and his jersey. He's rocking the orange, looks great. And we're excited to have him on tonight. But before we do, I just want to, just start us off with some housekeeping things and get us going into what the week is going to have for us for Team Vision. And thank you guys for joining. This Saturday, we have our 6K, so we'll talk about that. And I'll actually just present you guys some slides for our housekeeping. But we're so glad you're on the call. It's going to be a fun night. Just sharing for about 25 minutes with these live streams to better equip you guys as fundraisers in this season as we build up in training. We also want to kind of equip each one of you guys to learn from our top fundraisers and from even our staff. Steve Spear shared 2 weeks ago. And so as we build and have these calls, feel free to chime in. We have a chat box there. You can chime in and check in and send questions to me. Or David. So I'm Greg Schlew. I work on staff with Team Vision and been involved for about 7 years. And so if you have questions for me, David, tonight, or in the future, just want to chime in about even some of these housekeeping things, feel free to just ping us. We'd love to kind of hear from you. So thank you guys all for joining. And I have just a few things. I'm going to try and share my screen and do that well, which I am still kind of a rookie when it comes to these live streams. So give me 1 second here as I share my screen here. So you should be able to see hopefully these slides. And so just want to welcome you to call number 2 with David. And then the first just kind of housekeeping item. Super exciting. Tonight, you'll see on the website, you can actually add to your cart the running tank for this upcoming New Jersey. We released the New Jersey last month, and so we had the running tech tee at $30 is now the price in August. So you can get the running tech tee. And so I want to encourage you guys, if you haven't ordered your jersey for the Chicago Marathon, you're going to need it. And so it takes about 4 to 6 weeks in shipping. So order it today if you haven't already. And then the tank will be available. So if you want to order that, you can do that as well. It's at a discounted price, $27. And those are online. So if you want to go on to teamvision.org/store and order either of those, we have a 20-mile run coming up that you'll be a part of. You want to be a part of downtown Chicago, and to be a part of it with Fleet Feet for us, they ask us to be in our Team Vision jerseys. And so to run with that race with a 20-mile training run with us as a team, you need to be in the jersey. And so those are online today. Go ahead and order those if you haven't yet. The second thing is just talking about the 6K. I mentioned it earlier. That's this Saturday, 9 o'clock, downtown Chicago at Lincoln Park. And so if you haven't ordered or been a part of the 6K, it's an awesome time together as a team to join in and be a part of the bigger picture of the global 6K or the local 6K in Chicago. And so that is happening Saturday, 9 o'clock, and you can order your bib and sign up today at teamvision.org/6K. We're going to have close to hopefully 2,000 participants. It's a fun morning, and if you're trying to get in your long run that morning, you can actually, I think we have 15 miles that day. You can do the 6K after we're doing a group run that morning. So if you want to come out for that and do the mileage beforehand, which is about 11 or 12 miles, you want to do that beforehand and then run the 6K with us. We're doing that. So so come to that. If you can join, sign up today. It's $50 registration, teamvision.org/6K. So, and then we talked about the new Hero website. We'll talk about more of that today as we talk to David. teamvision.org/hero is a new landing page where you can get resource. If you're going for that hero level, if you're trying to get a free registration for the Chicago Marathon and hit that $3,000 goal, there's plenty of awesome resources on there. And I'll show you in a second here. As we cut to that, just what's on there, including spreadsheets to help you get to your fundraising goal and inspiring information from past of just fundraising ideas. And so go to that landing page if you want to get more resources to help you hit your $3,000, or if you're going for legacy, even $10,000 goal. There's a hero medal there. And then we talked about this last time, was the legacy getaway. If you hit legacy, that's going for $10,000, raising enough clean water for 200 kids. we have a getaway with Ashton and Brianne Eaton, or Brianne Tyson Eaton. And so if you want to be a part of that weekend, it's happening the December 9th and 10th in Southern California. We're inviting everybody that hits Legacy this year to come get away with us and and join the Olympians, Ashton and Brianne. You may have seen them all over the commercials this last weekend as the Olympics started. So it's going to be awesome that we're going to be able to spend more time with them as they get back from Rio at the end of August at Hood to Coast, and then also at this getaway, Southern California, December 9th and 10th. So we want to invite you guys that all hit Legacy to be a part of this. So come be a part of it and try and go for Legacy 10,000. And when you do hit that, you can be invited to this and hang out with Ashton and Brianne. So. And then last, I just want to share fundraising live stream. Next call will be the 23rd with Michael Chitwood, the National Director of Team World Vision. Close friend, love the dude to death. He's an amazing guy. And his story of helping, getting a vision from God and hearing from God to start Team World Vision, and then taking on the challenge of many races around the country for kids in clean water. He's going to share more and help equip you guys too. As it's more, probably inspirational. He's always inspirational when he shares, but just to give you guys some great tips on fundraising. But tonight we have David Gonzalez, and so we're super glad he's here. We're going to just briefly just go through some questions and some things and just get to know David tonight. So thank you, David, for being on the call and for sharing tonight. So David, how you doing?
Good. How are you? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you great, and you're looking super awesome in your orange, and we're just so grateful you're here to share tonight, being the top fundraiser right now for Chicago Marathon. I mean, you're crushing it, man. How does it feel to be right there at the top?
Feels pretty good, I have to say. But before I go any further, since this is the first time I'm ever on TV, I do want to say hi to my wife, Emily, and Harrison and Charlie. I think they're logged in right now watching. So hi, guys. Yeah, That's it feels good. It feels good to have raised some money and be involved with the training. And I can't wait. I can't wait for the marathon.
That's awesome. So today we talked a little bit about just, you have a goal. I saw 35,000, but you're close to coming up on 30,000. Mm-hmm. And you said you weren't there yet, but 30,000 represents 600 kids for clean water. That's pretty amazing. So just want to celebrate that you're right there, and that's so cool that you're going even farther than 30,000. You're going to go for 35,000. That's a ton of moolah, but also clean water for kids. So anyway, thank you so much for being on the call. So I just want to ask, this is going to be your first Team World Vision event?
This is my first ever. Yep.
Okay. And this will be your first marathon then too, it sounds like.
Yep. First marathon, first Team World Vision event, first time fundraising for anything ever. It's a lot of firsts. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So being a first timer, this is totally new, and you've just seen just a total show up of fundraising and money come in for clean water. It's pretty cool. What made you consider join then Team World Vision?
So it was really a combination of two people that came into my life relatively recently. One is someone that's been involved with Team World Vision for a long time that maybe some of the people that are logged in now know. His name is Anthony Halpin. Anthony's a friend of mine. He's also happens to be a client of mine through work. And a few years ago, Anthony shared with me the pictures that he brought back from his vision trip to Africa. And I was really moved just hearing Anthony's story about his involvement with Team World Vision and his trip to Africa. So that really kind of stayed with me in my heart. And then more recently, another friend of mine here in Elmhurst got me involved with the Christian men's group through our church, the men's group called Men's Fraternity. And throughout that, I've been on somewhat of a journey over the last few years, just learning a lot more about myself and Scripture and God and Jesus. And so it really kind of combined together and made me realize that I needed to do more myself. I needed to do more as a Christian to help the least of these, as it says in Matthew. And so just thinking back to Anthony and Team World Vision and hearing from him, and then piecing that together with me really being moved in my heart to do something, it was fairly obvious to me that Team World Vision was where I could be the most impactful.
Okay, that's great. And just a little bit of background, you're with a team, I know. Which team are you with, and where are you at in Chicago? Where do you train? Just to get some
Yeah,
background.
so I'm with the Christ Church of Oak Brook team, which is in Oak Brook, and we do our group runs in Hinsdale, so right around the Hinsdale Fountain.
Okay. So getting to this monumental level of fundraising already and going for more, it's inspiring to see that. I know personally. So I'm inspired just to be on this call with you, and it's exciting that you're sharing. And so I just want to know, what are 3 things you are doing when you're always asking somebody to donate? I mean, how does that go? What does that look like? If you were to describe 3 things you do every time, how does that play out when you're inviting people into? We talk about at Team World Vision, don't just ask people for money, but invite them into what you're doing and tell them what they're doing. And so what does that look like for you when you're inviting those people in?
Yeah, so I mean, first of all, I'll say I take no pride of ownership. All the ideas that I've had, the things that have worked for me, honestly, I've picked up through Anthony and through Team World Vision. So the first is exactly what you said, and I mean, when you talk about the number 30,000, you mentioned 600 lives, and that's how I think about it, and that's how I've invited people. There's an email that I sent out to everyone individually, and in that email, I specifically asked for a certain amount of lives that they want to help save. So I try to always frame it that way. So that would be the first thing, is just invite people. I decided to invite everyone personally with a personal email, and then to some of the people follow up with a phone call. But I've always tried to phrase it, as saving a certain amount of lives versus a certain amount of money. The second thing that I've done is I've made it a point to ask for a very specific amount. So I know on the Team World Vision website, there's a template, a spreadsheet, where you can get organized and you can list every person that you're going to invite. And next to that, you have a target amount that you can ask for. So I think that's really important, to ask for a specific amount. If you're bold, you can ask for a big amount, which I would definitely recommend. The worst people can do is say no, although very few people will say no. They'll just more likely give less than what you're asking for. But I'm very specific, and so I'll ask people, I'll invite them to help me save 5 lives or help me save 10 lives. And then I'll put the dollar amount next to that. And then the last part, which I think is really critical, is the follow-up. And I'm a pit bull when it comes to follow-up. Almost all the people that have donated are friends and family, and so I feel pretty confident being aggressive about my follow-up, and I can kind of laugh about it. But I think it's really important. We all know, as busy as we all are, everyone is busy, and the email, as much as it means to us, or the phone call, or Team World Vision, or saving people, people are busy and people have different priorities. And so I try not to take it personally when people don't give immediately. I take it more as my responsibility to follow up and make sure that I kind of walk them through actually giving. But I know I wouldn't have been able to raise nearly as much money if it weren't for the follow-up that I do. And the follow-up is a combination of emails and phone calls and social media and anything else that we have access to.
That's awesome. So to summarize, you said invite people in, and then you are asking them specific amounts. So that might be, if you know somebody that maybe is a part of your life more, they might give more, or they're just, maybe they have a steady job, or they might be, you're asking different people different amounts probably, and then you're following up. So you have some sort of, hey, I wrote them an email, I'm going to maybe text them or call them next, and trying to spice up how you follow up with them as well.
Yeah.
Which you plugged in the spreadsheet, which I just want to show people that David uses a spreadsheet similar to the one we have on our website. And I'll just show you guys real quick. If you can see my screen, that's the teamworldvision.org/hero. So if you go there, teamworldvision.org/hero, you're going to see that little, it's a Excel spreadsheet logo, and it says crunch the numbers. If you download that spreadsheet, it's a great way for you to put in names and track kind of how you're going to get to your goal and make it a very, bite size. So you may say, how do you get to $30,000 in fundraising? And so, well, David's put together lists and numbers and names of people that have wanted, that he pursued and prayed about giving, and then he went after and asked them through his spreadsheet, and then followed up through the spreadsheet. And so having that spreadsheet is super helpful. I know me being a numbers guy, crunching things and seeing it, being a business guy, but if you're not a business guy, just seeing it laid out like this on a spreadsheet may be helpful for you to just download that spreadsheet now and look at it. So thanks, David, for sharing that. Those 3 nuggets are really great. So
Sure.
And then just wanted to ask you, so the three things you talked about were super money, and then just kind of like, what is your personality would you attribute to your fundraising success? Talk about kind of like, where does that come in and how does that help you in your fundraising?
So I'd say, and full disclosure, I'm in sales, and so I ask people for stuff for a living. So I'm fairly comfortable doing that. But it really gets back to, me thinking back to how I can be most helpful, my heart being moved to act, and thinking about the gifts that I've been given, right? I mean, God's given me these gifts, and if one of those gifts is to be able to communicate effectively with people, to persuade them to do things, well, then obviously I can pair that together with a great mission, which is Team World Vision. So I would say first and foremost, just, my sales background definitely helps, but I think honestly, even more importantly than that is the passion behind it. And I know from sales and my career being in sales, people don't buy anything, and people aren't going to be willing to help you if they can't sense that you're passionate about something. So that's something that I really try hard to get across. Obviously, we're all passionate about this cause. We wouldn't be willing to do this to our bodies week after week, and the punishment that we're all taking. So obviously, we're all passionate about it. The key is to bring that passion to life. So if you have a personal story about how you got involved with Team World Vision, I think that's really important to share that with people. If there's something in particular that moved you to act, if there's something in particular that's upset you, or something that you think needs to be changed, and that's why you're acting, I think it's important to share that. So you don't have to have a salesman's personality. You don't have any super persuasive powers of communication. I think if you're passionate, if you're honest and true, if you speak from your heart about why you're being compelled to do this, people will buy into that, and people are going to want to help you. These are your closest friends and your closest family. And if you come to them with something you truly care about, and they see that you're willing to have that level of commitment to put your body through this punishment, they're going to want to help you. All you need to do is ask. So I'd say that's from a personality standpoint, that's my own background, but I think everyone on this call and everyone as part of Team World Vision has that same ability.
That's great. Before our call, you told me, I mean, part of when you make an ask is that you let there be silence. You don't let someone say no for you. And can you talk about that? I think that's huge. I think we always want to kind of be like, hold our, we don't bite our tongue well because we want to let answer for people, but some people do want to be a part of that. And how do we, what are there some secrets if you're not a salesperson to maybe encourage others that maybe don't have that business background?
Yeah, so I would say just a couple of nuggets. And again, this really is the sales part of it. But ultimately, you are trying to make a sale. You're trying to convince someone to join you in this mission that we're all on. So I would say first and foremost is to be very clear about your ask. And so that's getting back to what we talked about earlier, which is be very clear about what you're asking for. I'd like to invite you to help me save 10 lives. And that would be a $500 donation. And then silence. So, assuming that you're doing this in person or on the phone, that's kind of a mini sales technique is to not continue to talk through it. And I think a lot of people get scared because they're asking so much, and they might say, would you be willing to give $500? Or if that's too much, maybe you can just give whatever you can. And I would advise against that. Be bold in your ask, and then shut up and let them talk. I've had a few people that I've asked for $500 that have come back and said, "Is that it? I was going to give 1,000." Right? And so you would be, and you might be surprised by people being very willing to give whatever you ask, and some people will give you even more. Now, honestly, some people are going to say, "Oh, that's a lot of money. I really can't do that. What if I just gave 200?" Well, I'd be willing to bet that if you didn't ask for 500, you wouldn't get the 200. If you didn't have a very specific amount in mind, they'd probably offer $50 instead of the 200. So by asking for the 500 and them giving the 200, you've gotten 150 more than they were planning to give in the first place. And the fact that you asked for the 500 and then didn't say anything after that made them have to come back to you and tell you how much they're going to give. You didn't let them off the hook and let them on to a lower number. So that's kind of one technique.
That's great. Those are really great tips. And was that one of your donors calling you?
We'll see. I don't know. I've got caller ID. That's another tip. Always have caller ID.
We're just gonna have a few more questions with David, but we have the option if you guys want to just chime in with some questions after those. We're happy to take a few more after that. So if you notice, there's a chat bar. Feel free to post questions if you want, and we'd love to hear from you guys. But I just want to say that it's been awesome having you on here. And if someone isn't maybe maybe just starting, or they're in a rut in their fundraising and they haven't even, they've hit a wall, or maybe they haven't even begun and gotten started with their fundraising, what would you say to someone right now, depending on what that rut was, how to get motivated?
Yeah, so I would say my guess is, and again, I'll say I'm brand new to this, so take all this with a grain of salt. I was where everyone was 3 months ago. So 3 months ago, I had never fundraised. I'd never run a marathon. Every week now is the longest I've ever run in my life. So this is all brand new to me. But I'll tell you some of the ruts that I was in, and some of the ruts that people might be in today. So if you're in the rut where you're just overwhelmed by this huge fundraising task ahead of you, the piece of advice that I would give is very simple, which is get started, and get started today. So don't think that Monday's a fresh new start and I'll get started Monday, because the reality is that Monday you're going to have 100 new things on your plate, and they're going to be a higher priority than this is. So if you're on this call right now, if you haven't done whatever it is your first step is going to be, whether that's creating the list or sending the email or making the phone calls, right now, as soon as we hang up, begin that. Whatever else was on your plate that was a higher priority, put that to the side and get started today. And I think once you see that you've gotten started, the process just goes by a lot faster, and it's a lot less painful. So that would be my first piece of advice. If your rut is that you haven't gotten started, get started right away, like tonight before you go to sleep. The second rut that I can think of is one that I'm actually in right now, which is that I've reached out to a lot of people, and the donations have definitely trickled. So there were a lot that came in early on, but I've gotten to the point now where it's the people that are either busier or just harder to get a response from. And so that's a different rut where I'm having to be a little bit more creative in my follow-ups. And my advice there would be to increase the frequency of your follow-ups. So that's something that I'm currently in the process of doing. And I'm doing that in a few different ways. For the people that I feel like I'm bugging, if I called a few times or have emailed and they still haven't responded, one of the things that I'm doing is sending out a periodic just progress update. And so it's almost like a journal of my progress here. So every few weeks, I'll send out a blast email to everyone. And it's something along the lines of, hey, I ran 18 miles this week, and it was really tough, but it was exhilarating at the same time. And while I'm running, I'm praying, and I'm thinking about why I'm running this, and I'm thinking about how lucky I am, and how 99% of the world isn't nearly as lucky as we all are living in this country. And it's just such a great cause. And then I'll just make a note, something to the effect of, I hope everyone can take a few minutes just to be grateful for what they have, and just thank God for everything that we've been blessed with. And then I'll put the link to my fundraising site in the bottom and just say, hey, as a reminder, we're trying to hit this $35,000 goal together, and we're not quite at 30,000. We're really going to need some more help. So if you haven't given yet, here's the link. So that to me is a very soft way of following up. It's non-specific. So maybe the people who feel like I've been bugging them don't feel like they're being bugged this time around. Hopefully the message that I send out motivates people. And every time I've done that, I've definitely seen a flood of new emails, new donations that'll come in. Maybe another 5 or 10 right after that email. And then it goes dead silent until I do the other email. So I think it's effective in doing it. But again, if you're in that rut where you're seeing them trickle, think of some new creative ways to follow up with people. But ultimately, the onus is on you to follow up. It's not on your donors to magically remember to give.
Yeah, that's good. We got a question actually from Josh Gregoire. He's asking, what do your thank yous look like? So if you got some cookies there you want to share, we'd love to hear too. Even when you get a donation, what does that look like?
Yeah, so I'm pretty analytical about, and I'm remembering my wife is watching this, so she's probably laughing. I'm pretty analytical about a lot of things. And so I've got processes really for everything involving fundraising, and thank yous is definitely one of them. So before I even began fundraising, I kind of had a process laid out. And so again, my goal was pretty aggressive. And so for me, there were some people that I asked for $10,000. I didn't get any of those, but I asked for $10,000. there was a list of people that I asked for $5,000 or people that I asked for $1,000. And some of those people did give. And so for the big donors, those are kind of my heavy hitter donors. I've sent a personal thank you note to each one of those individually. I've called all of those people individually to personally thank them. For those that I can see here locally, I've made a point to see them face to face, shake their hand, look them in the eye, and thank them, and just remind them how much it really means to me and World Vision, and most importantly, the lives that they're saving. So for the big donors, and I kind of have a cutoff for that, but those are the thank yous. Everyone automatically gets a personalized email from me. I don't do the ones through the Team World Vision website just because I feel like those are less personal. So it's easy for me just to type up a quick email, and I can even do it on my phone on the fly, just to thank people personally. So those are the thank yous that I've done. I'm contemplating doing something special as well for my big donors that are locally. So maybe hosting a dinner or something, having them over my house, something like that, just to give them another kind of warm and fuzzy thank you.
That is all good stuff, man. One last question. Just like, where's God been through this? Where are you at now? Like, how are you feeling? Like, has he been through the highs and the lows? Like, how's God been moving through your life right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's I would say honestly, mostly with the training. It's been tough. Again, it's my first marathon, and I really haven't. I was not a big runner before this, so the training has been very, very difficult. I make it a point when I'm doing my long runs, especially the runs that I do on my own, every once in a while, and I got this from Michael Chitwood in his book. I turn off the iPad and I just pray. I just have a little conversation, and I just spend some time being grateful for what I have. And I think about why I'm doing this, and I think about the kids, and I think about the adults and all the people that are less fortunate than I am. And it definitely makes time go by faster, and whatever pains I'm feeling in my legs seem to slip away before you know it. You've clocked off 6-7 miles. So clearly I think that's God kind of helping me out along the way. I've had some injuries. I'm 40 years old, and again, I'm doing things that my body has never done, and so my body, I think, is pretty upset with me. But it's been amazing how much pain I've been able to run through, and it's definitely not me having any kind of special ability. I really think like I'm on a mission, and I think it's God working through me to make sure that I get through this. So I do feel that connection. And I think it comes a lot with the time that I'm spending running.
That's awesome. Well, we are super grateful we got to have you on the call tonight, and it means a lot to us as a staff, and I know to our runners and participants to hear from our top fundraisers. So thank you for taking the time tonight to share and recording this live stream with us.
Definitely. Thank you. Thanks for having me. If there's any help that I can provide anyone on the call that wants to follow up with me directly, I'm more than happy to have a conversation or send you any of the emails or anything that I've been using. So
okay. How would the best way to contact you be?
Yeah, so you can email me. My email address is David E. Gonzalez, and that's spelled Gonzalez @gmail.com. So yeah, you can email me directly, or if you get in touch with Greg or anyone else from the staff, they can get you in touch with me. But again, I'm happy to help. I mean, we are a team, and we're all doing this together. So let's help each other out.
Awesome, so good. Well, we have just been honored to have you on this call, and then I'll just close with a word of prayer, and just to close too with the if you want to just check out this last plug for the 6K. I'm just going to make sure everyone sees it, because you don't want to miss it this Saturday. And I'm going to see if you guys can see this. We're going to get together for the 6K. And so I didn't tell you guys earlier, we're doing 12 miles beforehand, or 11.3 miles beforehand at 6 a.m. at Lincoln Park. So if you want to gather together and sign up for the 6K, we're going to do 11.3 miles beforehand at 6 a.m. And then after our run, we're going to do the 6K, which is about 3.7 miles. So get you to your 15 miles total. So they'll do that at 9 a.m. at the 6K. So if you want to join us, that's Lincoln Park this Saturday for the Chicago 6K. So excited to have you guys. And then that's just my email. If you want to email us questions, or get a hold of David's contact information, I can send that along to you as well. And also, he mentioned he had a couple emails that he shares. So if you have any interest in getting a hold of those emails, they're going to be available. If you just send me a quick note, I'll send them over to you. But just how he asks people for money, and then also updates. He has a ask email, and then he has an update email. So if you want either of those, I'm happy to send them your way. Shoot me an email saying I was on the live stream with David and would love those. So thank you guys again for being a part of this. And I'll just close us now once I get this in prayer, and just thank you guys. If you want to bow your heads, thank you so much, God, for this opportunity to hear from David and what you're doing in his life. And we are so grateful for just the love you have for us and the strength you've put in our bodies to understand the plight around the world for kids that walk miles upon miles for water that's unsafe to drink, and that you've called us to serve through this avenue and moving our feet and taking on this spiritual pilgrimage together as a family, as David says, as a team. May we be encouraging to one another. May we be light to others, and maybe we race day full of energy for you, God, to give you worship and praise for this opportunity, and to reign in the kingdom through clean water and renewal in places that we never thought possible on the other sides of the world, in Africa, for kids and for their life, and so we can make much of Jesus. So we pray this in your name. We thank you for the people on this call and those that are listening, and our teammates that are doing their training runs right now or today. We just pray for them and their protection and your provision. We love you so much. Amen.
Amen.
All right. The next call, as you heard, would be in 2 weeks from now, which is the 23rd at 7 p.m. with Michael Chitwood. So we're looking forward to having you guys back for that. And we all appreciate you for joining on tonight. Talk to you all soon.